So I know that you're looking at this as this sort of homeowners, investors in real estate equity. This is a place where there's a lot of value. I'm guessing, given the journey you described and taking an interest in tokenization, I'm assuming you've considered how this approach could be applied to other markets. Where else will this play out? What other market segments, industries is this going to happen? And maybe you could share some of those ideas for entrepreneurs.
It's a good question. I mean, anything can be tokenized, and proof of that is CryptoKitties. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but
of course, absolutely.
Yeah, and you mentioned the royalties on the anime out of Japan, the anime product out of Japan. So, I mean, the first thing you have to ask yourself, is there a viable business model behind it before you say you're going to tokenize something? And are you solving a real pain point? Because essentially you're just tokenizing something for the sake of tokenizing. But obvious areas are collectibles. For example, art. There's a great company out of Europe called Mycenes, which allows you to build a portfolio of what they call masterpiece artwork using tokens. Mm-hmm. Things like rare coins, baseball cards, antiques, and more can be tokenized. Inherent in that are obviously complications. How do you authenticate it's the real thing? It's a genuine article. And then the other issue you have in and around something like that is a security, because it can basically be picked up and taken and moved somewhere. So how do you ensure that it's not being absconded with or taken away? So those things can be solved through technology.
Sure, companies like Securitize business providing platforms for that. Yeah.
Exactly. You can't pick up a home and move it unless it's on wheels. So we don't really have to worry about the home, but there are issues around the home that we have to obviously to ensure that the home is not being used for any illicit issues or things like that. But there's other great examples. QB, which is a company out of Europe, has actually tokenized loyalty programs and taken the loyalty points and tokenized those. So that's a great example of something else being tokenized. And there's another great company called Brave, which is a blockchain-based browser, and they have tokenized your attention, essentially your time, and they give you a coin called Basic, and you basically get paid for allowing ads to target you and allowing them to use your data. So that's something that right there is being tokenized. That's essentially just time.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Props is another tokenized kind of loyalty model that is sort of being utilized in games and other things. A lot of interesting stuff. So in your Vesta equity case, how quickly do you think this marketplace grows? What's the total market size? What do you think starts to participate in this, and over what time frame?
Total market size in the U.S. is pretty significant. It's about $3.5 trillion every year of property that's financed. That's solely residential property. How fast will it take off? I think in certain markets it'll take off quicker than other markets where they tend to be a little more advanced when it comes to their use of technology and understanding of technology. We're not going to make a major issue of the fact that we are using blockchain or tokenization and stuff with the average consumer, because I think it'll just elevate the discussion to a level that's not necessary at this point. I think that in the next 3 years, we'll see a lot of early adopters and innovators take this on. We're already starting to see big commercial projects being tokenized. There's a great company out of Europe, again, called Mata, that's tokenizing big residential property projects and big commercial properties, and tokenizing those and selling off shares of those specific properties to investors. So we're starting to see it in the real estate space already. With regard to this, I think within 3 years, we'll see some significant uptake, and we'll move into that early majority of people that want to target it. I mean, one of the things we're moving into is people understand there's a need for this. People are getting home equity loans, they're getting reverse mortgages. They're just unfortunately getting very unfair deals from the perspective of the banks, and this is something that's far more equitable for them because they're not actually ending up with a mortgage, compounding interest, and monthly payments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a homeowner, I have a great deal of empathy and think what you're doing is fantastic. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us, and obviously good luck with the upcoming launch.
Thank you very much. You take care.